Gentlemen, start your engines for a over 20 years old game, 25-ish.
Yeah.
This game's pretty old, but it's so futuristic.
Yeah.
It's old, but I love it. What? Are you not going to... Yes? Good. Good. If you don't pick the Blue Falcon, I kill you.
I did not. Did I? I'm just showing off all the other racers because, you know what? Everyone only cares about the Blue Falcon. It's like, there's other people too, you know.
Yeah,
like the Fire Stingray.
Fire Stingray.
I do, because the Fire Stingray is where it's at.
No! No!
Well, hang on, Matt, hang on. Who's to say...
No!
Well, hang on. Who's to say he doesn't show off other racers in the video?
Yeah, like there's the Blue Falcon right there.
No, I mean playing as them.
I know, I am too.
Yeah, for this for this look at, I'm primarily picking the Fire Stingray, which is being piloted by our good old pal Samurai Goro.
Oh, that's who it was. For some
Alright,
reason...
who pilots who? I know Samurai Goro pilots that one, and then, of course, Blue Falcon is Captain Falcon. Who pilots the other two?
The Golden Fox is piloted by Dr. Stewart, and the Wild Goose is piloted by a green alien named Pico.
Wow.
Okay. One more. Who's the woman? Right? Who's the woman driver from the sequel?
Jodie Summers?
Yes, Jodie Summers. Does she? Like, these are the only 4 characters in this game, right?
Yep. For F-Zero 1, it was only just these 4. F-Zero X practically just practically gave us a bucket loads more of character to it, and well, that's kind of why people kind of prefer that game and the other game, F-Zero GX, compared to the SNES original.
Let's all be honest. GX is the best. That is the hands down best F-Zero.
It was the first one I ever played, so by nostalgia's sake, I will say it is probably the better one. But even then, I will admit,
in fact,
like,
you know what?
honestly,
Maybe...
when you
I was about to say, maybe that's why they didn't make any more F-Zero games, because they knew they couldn't do any better than GX, so they figured, why bother?
Well, that was Miyamoto's excuse as to why there hasn't been an F-Zero game in the past 10 plus years.
Yeah, but there needs to be. It's been like 14 or 13 years since the last F-Zero. Give us a legitimate F-Zero. I mean, I am happy with the F-Zero courses in Mario Kart. Those are amazingly fun, especially Mute City. Not the biggest fan of Big Blue, but it's still fun. And it does capture the sense of speed that actual F-Zero does capture. But I still want my actual F-Zero game.
Well, Matt,
I'm trying to think. What was the name of that one? Well, what was the name of that one Switch game that we did look at a while ago that was basically not F-Zero?
Fast RMX, which is basically Fast Racing Neo 2.
Yes, but I actually mean I actually mean an actual F-Zero, not F-Zero, like, not either, like, knockoffs or anything like that, or tributes to F-Zero. I mean legitimate F-Zero.
In other words, accept no substitutions, bitches.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
at the end of the day, like F-Zero...
I was about to say, so you wouldn't accept something like... Oh, sorry.
You go ahead, Steve. You had something you wanted to say.
I was about to say, so does that mean you won't accept anything like, say if they decide to make a Switch port of GX with, like, basically a few fixes, maybe a few new characters and whatnot, that wouldn't be enough to satiate your F-Zero needs?
No, actually, that would. Because it would still be an actual legitimate F-Zero. It wouldn't be a knockoff, or it wouldn't be like an indie game trying to ride the coattails. It would be legitimate F-Zero. And even then, it would be a port of the best F-Zero game. I will accept a port of F-Zero over a knockoff of F-Zero.
You know, thinking back on that, I'm sort of iffy on that kind of logic nowadays, especially after we've had the likes of, say, Yooka-Laylee, which was essentially a spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, even though I kind of feel like it's a full-blown sequel despite the character changes. And yet, I honestly think that game, compared to the others, is just okay. Like, it didn't really live up to the hype all that much. And then you got, like, a game that came well after it called, well... Actually, yeah, as of this recording, A Hat in Time actually came out, and I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. I think that game is far better than, say, Yooka-Laylee, and that's with a bunch of people that had nothing to really do with the Banjo-Kazooie games. Same for Kirko, because he did compose at least one song for it.
Well,
But that's just my whole opinion on the matter. Like, I mean, I would love it. I would love a GX port as much as anyone else. In fact, honestly, with what the industry could do nowadays, imagine an F-Zero GX remake touched up for today's generation.
That'd be awesome.
Only problem is that we wouldn't be able to get the likes of the original developers, Amusement Vision, back on board because technically they're defunct now.
Yeah, that is true.
Also, wasn't GX also co-made by Sega?
It was supervised by Sega because again, like the developers of the game are subsidiary of Sega, AV or aka Amusement Vision, the same guys that also did the Super Monkey Ball games. Holy shit! Spiders being great. Calm your tits, man.
Yeah, if anything like that happens in this game, you go wildly out of control.
Ooh, like that.
Yeah, even more so when you're a character that doesn't have the best of turning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Honestly, the character I'm playing as, the Fire Stingray, aka Samurai Goro, is easily probably the most balanced of the four characters. Whereas Captain Falcon, I think, is a little more of a speed-based character, and honestly, I don't even know what the other two are like.
Yeah, because nobody really played the other two.
Well, back then they probably did, but nowadays with the likes of Smash Brothers being like almost everyone's first exposure to anything F-Zero related, yeah, most people are gonna pick Captain Falcon purely out of knowing that that's where this is the game where he came from.
Yeah.
Wow, you are doing horribly at this track.
Yeah, I am. Though, if I could be completely fair, like despite all the fuck-ups I am making, I do win like most, if not all, of these races.
Well, that is true. He hasn't gotten any lower than first place in any of the races he's shown so far.
That's true, but he hasn't been this far.
Well, I suppose you're right, but even then, it's like that just goes to show how little of a fuck I give for like getting first place in these races. Because I think the top placing you can get in these tracks is third place. If you go any lower than that, then you do have to restart the race. It's kind of like that weird logic that like these racing games have had up until like the most recent Mario Karts or whatever. Like this, if you couldn't already tell by like the bottom right corner, this game has a live system. You lose all your lives, you got to restart the Grand Prix from the very beginning.
Yep.
Does this game?
And on top of that, actually, it's funny thinking about it, but F-Zero here was a launch title for the Super Nintendo.
Yep.
Interesting. Anyway, does F-Zero here kind of do the same thing that the later games do, where it's like if you take enough damage, you pretty much explode?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hence the power meter on the top right of the screen.
Gotcha.
And of course, if you want to heal your baby, that's what those rainbowy tiles are for. Like you drive over them, you heal little by little.
Which you need.
My baby.
Unfortunately for the Super Nintendo game's case, most tracks, if not all of them, I think only have one rainbow lane.
Yeah, and that's at the very beginning.
Usually it's at the very beginning, though other times it could be like in the middle or at the very end of the race.
Think of it like a pit stop, because like most video game... Alright, thing is about this is actually one of the more accurate games when it comes to racing based, like, not only speed, but like how it actually works. And definitely, if you guys know, like F-Zero comes from F1, Formula 1. Formula 1 racing is the most popular form of racing aside from NASCAR. I think it is leagues better than NASCAR.
Yeah, because with NASCAR, it's like the whole... I think Jeff Dunham said it best. The whole commentary for that whole thing is like, oh look, he made a left turn!
Yeah.
Oh look at that guy, he made another left turn! Stuff like
And look,
that.
another left turn!
Somebody hand me my beer.
It pretty much was like that. Whereas F1 racing, Formula 1 racing, is so dangerous that people have legitimately died.
I can imagine so, because
Yeah.
like... You're going at like blazing speeds, and you're still making all more than just left turns at the very least.
By the way, I highly suggest watching the movie Rush with Daniel Bruhl and Chris Hemsworth. That's right, both Baron Zemo and Thor are in the movie. Yeah.
But by the way, Matt, before you make your point, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I kind of hate this stage because if it isn't immediately obvious, this stage suffers from freaking winds.
Huh.
It'll push you all across the track and most likely collide with the sides.
Kind of hard to tell at first.
Yeah, because obviously, like, there's no wind effect or anything to signify that. Oh look, the whole thing's going out of whack.
Yeah.
No, you pretty much have to rely on just seeing how your vehicle moves.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But with the whole Formula One, I highly suggest watching the movie Rush. It is absolutely amazing, and one of the best racing-based movies I have ever seen. Although it is more about the rivalry / friendship of these two characters. And though there are a lot of inaccuracies, there are a lot of accurate parts as well, and some that are incredibly disturbing. Like, arguably the lead character of the movie is Niki Lauda, played by Daniel Bruhl. And Daniel Bruhl, due to that role and another movie I love, Jouet Noel, due to those two movies, he has become one of my favorite actors, if not my second favorite actor. Nobody will top Christoph Waltz. But,
aside from the one claiming that makes this actor possibly your second favorite.
What? Yeah. Okay. But, the whole thing with Niki Lauda is that he had probably one of the worst crashes in Formula One history, and yet he still survived.
Oh dang! If that was the final lap, that would have been fucking epic.
Yeah, but he had one of the worst crashes in Formula One history, and it's very hard to watch. They even show actual footage of the crash in the movie. And it is incredibly hard to watch, and incredibly hard. What Lauda had to go through was very harsh.
I'd imagine this is like a fairly, not to say ancient movie, but something that's not something terribly recent.
The movie?
Yeah. How old is the movie?
The movie's like 3 years old.
Oh, okay. So it is fairly recent.
Yeah, it is a very recent movie.
Well, how old is the event it's based on?
That is back in the 60s and 70s. And, in fact, most of the movie hinges on two different races. And, like, two big Grand Prix, and the final Grand Prix that, I think it is either the final one or the second to last, that James Hunt, who is played by Chris Hemsworth, I think it might have been his last Prix, but the reason why is because it's the only one that he actually won. He actually won an entire Grand Prix.
Alright, good for him.
Woohoo!
Yeah, but, both him and Niki Lauda get the majority of... I like how
Damn it, Blue Falcon.
Yeah, it's like I'm sorry to distract from your point, Matt, but yeah, this track looks very obnoxious.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's very technical and I hate it.
By the way, I have still yet to play F-Zero on my Super Nintendo Classic.
Whee!
Well, if you've never played it before, I'm just gonna say this right now. It has aged a fair bit.
Yeah, no, I have. I think it's still a fun game, but yeah, it definitely has aged.
And yeah, I'll agree with that too. Like, as much as aged as it is, like, I think it's not a bad game. Like, overall, like, if you want a history lesson, I think this is like, it still runs fairly solid.
Yeah.
Again, the only problem is that it is kind of slippery, and like, the track design gets so tight at times where it almost feels impossible to make it perfectly. And the CPU makes it look like no problem, but you know what? That's just CPU with their benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this.
Whoop, they do.
That wasn't awkward at all.
Long story short, go watch Rush. Amazing movie. One of my favorites.
That's good. Oh yeah, and for the record, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I would love to do a look at of F-Zero GX for the GameCube, I unfortunately don't have the means to record it, and Dolphin doesn't really like to run it that well, so
well, considering
can't really do anything about that. Ow!
And also, let us not forget that the game is considered one of the hardest games of all time, if not the hardest racing game of all time.
So I've heard, and
Yeah.
honestly, I can't say I'm too surprised that Dolphin would have a hard time running it, considering how devil damn fast it goes.
Kinda, yeah. Also, though that being said, the hard difficulty behind it, like, it is fairly hard, but the more dickish parts of the game is primarily tied to its story mode, which itself is kind of an anomaly.
Yeah, I remember my brother having a hard time with that.
The final track in that game is hell. It's literally hell.
Like, let me put it to you this way, folks, like, I couldn't even get past the second stage, it was that brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they're able to fix that if they do ever make a port of it. Like, make it so that the story mode's actually beatable.
Or at the very least give it a difficulty select.
Yeah, no, I wish there was a difficulty selection. That is the one problem with the game. There is no difficulty to the game. There's no difficulty selection, meaning that
for story mode, no.
Yeah.
And yeah, this once you're done with the Grand Prix, you can basically look back and look at all your stats from all the other ones for all the stages that you've been through. Like, that's really all there is to it. Nothing terribly flashy, but then again, what more would you expect from like a launch title for the Super Nintendo alongside Pilot Wings and, of course, Mario World? Woohoo!
But here's also the thing with this game. For a launch title, yes, it has very little content, but the one thing it was trying to go for was how graphically impressive it was supposed to be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only did it run, was it the smoothest running game at the time, like, but also got that sense of speed.
Right.
Yeah, which wasn't very easy to pull off unless you were fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. But honestly, that came out after F-Zero, if you would believe that. But
yeah.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our look at on F-Zero for the Super Nintendo. Honestly, this was primarily done as filler, so I hope you enjoyed it for what it was worth. Until next time, I'm JamesmanXtreme.
I'm Ryan J. Koopa, aka Matt the Zealot. Go watch the movie Rush.
And I'm fully gonna expect that with our mention of F-Zero GX being difficult, we're gonna have a bunch of old crusty gamers going, "Ah, you bunch of pansies who hate difficulty."
No, even people from that era will agree. It's still difficult. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go watch Rush or the original Speed Racer series, since I have that on Blu-ray.
Oh, dear God. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, see you all next time for round 2 of F-Zero 8!
Yes!
Bye, everybody.